How many of you believe this? That the length of the Texas-Mexico border has been drawn, and along it, illicit fentanyl seeping into the Texas and claiming lives on an unpredictable scale. How many of y'all believe that? Okay. So you'll see, like, shit like this, and I mean, that's just a pretty good picture, actually, of really what it looks like, but they'll show you shit like this. Or some really fucked up shit like this right here. It's all it's all bullshit, dude. All right, it's all bullshit. Okay, let me be more correct. It's not all bullshit, but 90% of it is bullshit, and I'm gonna show you the bullshit right now. Two reasons that I can do this. One, I live on the border. Well, I live right here. See, if you continue up this way, you got Houston and, Louisiana. And then, so anyways, it's and then obviously by boat or plane, because that's the Gulf of Mexico or the Gulf of America right there. If you're a strong enough swimmer, you can swim to Florida if you just go that way. So this is a hot spot. You know what I'm saying? Just to really highlight these Border Patrol guys, let's see what happens in Del Rio. I got this from Coroner's News. He lives right here.
On August 21st, 2021, I was arrested for human smuggling, only a couple months after I graduated high school. I want to tell you about how it happened. I received a text message on Snapchat saying me and some friends need to take a ride from one place to the next, and they would pay for my gas, and they would give me $1,200. I didn't think anything of it. I just thought I was going to give them a ride and I was going to get paid. Fast forward, when I got to the location where I was supposed to pick them up, there was no one in sight. That's when I seen state trooper lights behind me. And when I got pulled over, I didn't have anyone in my vehicle. The interaction with the officers were terrifying. They were asking each other, where should we take him? After they spent some time talking, they decided on their decision. I spent 3 months in Briscoe unit, and I lost my opportunity to join the National Guard. But I just want to thank my lawyer, most of all, for getting me on the pretrial diversion. I just want to say that I'm glad to be standing here in front of you all today and telling my story.
Thanks for your testimony. I just want to make sure I understand. You were going to go pick up some people for a fee. They were going to pay you.
Yes, sir.
And you didn't actually pick anyone up, though.
No, sir.
But you were pulled over. And you were arrested.
Yes, sir.
What was the charge?
6 counts of human smuggling.
6 counts of human smuggling.
Yes.
But you say you did not
I didn't
have anyone in your vehicle.
No, sir.
Okay. Do you know how they justified that charge?
Yes, when I was at the pickup, when I was supposed to pick them up, there was no house or nothing, and there was just a big old fence. Mm-hmm. And the officers, they jumped the fence and they found illegals, and they said they were just gonna put them on me because they thought I was picking them up.
So there were people there, but you never actually interacted with them?
Yes, never interacted with them, but they were there.
And where did your arrest occur?
Sir?
Where did your arrest occur? Was this in Houston?
Del Rio.
In Del Rio?
Del Rio.
I see. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now let's see what happens at the border.
Administration stopped it. Now you have this, Highway 2, and this, no gate.
So how are they getting over this one? They can get over with a ladder. That takes a little time. Then they have to get that ladder over, and then they have to...
Well, really, you just shimmy down that.
You shimmy down?
Yeah,
and then you'd have to get another ladder set up here, which would take time, or you can just go through
which would allow Border Patrol to get here, but there is no gate.
Okay.
So...
How far in front of you do you think you can see? You could probably see for like 5 or 6 miles in either direction. You saw how straight everything was.
How much does that make sense?
Before y'all start thinking about making sense, listen to this first and then try to make the sense. The entire length of where the Texas and Mexico border meet, even along New Mexico, is beginning to end 179.5 miles long. So, some of you smart ones are already putting this together, but if there's 179 miles, how many Border Patrol agents are there? You know what I mean? 9,000. No big deal.
It's the smoothest dirt road I've been on.
It's because you're in a Raptor. My search and rescue is out here with these because regular four-wheel drives, they just get beat up. You get beat up because it's not all smooth, as you'll see. When I cut up through Smuggler's Pass, it gets a little rough.
Oh, yeah.
That was for you. This is a well-known area where individuals are brought up because you can cross right here.
Y'all ready to see some illegals come over the border and, see these guys in action, right? Here we go. Oh, don't worry. Like I said, it's not all bullshit. It's still a bunch of bullshit.
How you guys doing? Came from India, Mumbai,
Observations?
Dehradun, Gujarati.
See some New Balances, what looks like some Reebok Classics, fucking fashion jeans. Dude, these coats look like they're fucking straight out of fucking a ski magazine. Dude, they all have backpacks. These dudes got money.
Chicago. That's where you're going? Chicago? What'd you do in India?
Congress leader.
Really, guys.
Congress party's worker.
Congress Party worker, okay. You flying to Mexicali?
No, Mexico.
No, fly.
Were they on a bus?
Were you on a bus?
You know,
Yeah.
with a group of 9 from India.
Yeah, that's fucking
Well,
weird.
Listen to this absolute bullshit.
I wonder if there was a smuggler who was supposed to pick them up out there, but
it might be.
that's kind of strange. I wonder if it's because they extended Title 42, but India is not a Title 42 nation.
No, it's not. They're Title 8, so I don't know why they came in through here. Usually they're down by the river.
Maybe they paid the wrong people.
Well. What's up, brother?
How you doing, sir?
Good, you?
Not too bad.
Yeah, they were just walking down the road. It was like,
They called 911 a whole bunch of times. So.
oh, they have?
Yeah. How you doing, sir?
Living the dream, right?
How you doing, sir?
How you doing?
Peter.
Luis.
Luis, nice to meet you.
Usually they'll shoot like a group like this through here, and then through 195 they'll try to
Give
have,
another one
like-
across?
Yeah, I got on all.
So it's all about tying up you guys.
Yes, sir.
There you go. These folks were sitting here constantly down 911 to get picked up. So Cartel's exploiting Border Patrol resources by having them do that out here to get their other product through back where we were before.
What people or drugs?
Both. And what better way to do it than having a group 30 miles out in the middle of nowhere where you know that public safety is a priority, human life is a priority. They're going to play
Night's
off of
coming, they'd freeze out here.
Yeah. So it's all part of the game. And I'm sure.
Please tell me you can see the bullshit. Now it's really about to hit the fan, because back to what the video is about. Remember in the beginning when, this is what everybody thinks, that illicit fentanyl is coming over to Texas from Mexico and it's being made in illicit laboratories and blah, 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 blah. Okay, let me clear some shit up. Fentanyl is FDA approved. Since 1960-something. It's saved 10 times the lives it's taken in a year. And most importantly, it is made in the United States of America. Well, how are they getting away with this? Well, they trademarked the names, right? So there's about 8 or 9 of them, different trademark names for fentanyl. So, first synthesized by Paul Janssen in 1959, it was approved for use in 1968 in the United States. Now, why do we use it so much, right? Well, in 2017, some areas of the United States have been hit much harder. West Virginia, Ohio, Pennsylvania, District of Columbia, the highest rates of death-related drug overdose. The geographical location of the opiate epidemic begs the explanation. Recent reports have suggested that economic distress is the underlying culprit, with poverty, trauma, availability, and pain creating the perfect storm. Looking back to the 1990s, it's understandable how a nightmare began. In the 1990s, approximately 33% of the adult American population was supposedly affected in some way by chronic pain. Tragically, this led to a concerted effort by the federal government and drug companies to expand the use of opioids. Okay, now we know how it got out there. As a legitimate medical use painkiller expanded, so did the oversupply, which produced the illicit non-medical usage, is what they're saying. Now, this is a survey in 2017, found 74%, blah, 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 blah. They got pills from their doctors and from someone else who got it from someone else. Now, now that we know it's the federal government who is pushing this bullshit, let me specifically explain drug companies and pharmacies and whatnot. And I'm going to give you some names and some numbers. The biggest drug dealers on planet Earth are Walmart, CVS, and Walgreens, period. Their pharmacies are the drug dealing, like the trap houses, the drug houses, you know what I'm saying? And let me give you some numbers, okay? Now, they won't give you the real numbers, but in 2022, the United States filled approximately 6.7 billion prescriptions. That's just prescriptions, period, with an increase in population and drug utilization and likely to having increased in 2024. Billion. Now, just put it into perspective, the difference between a million seconds and a billion seconds is like 3 weeks. A billion seconds is 30 years. Just so you get the idea. This is how you know Google's in on it. When you search how many prescriptions were filled in 2024 for fentanyl, look what it says. The search results do not provide the exact number on fentanyl. Instead, results focused on the efforts of law enforcement agencies like the DEA to seize illicit fentanyl. Okay, wow. This is hilarious. But while the CDC states that approximately 125 million opioid prescriptions were dispensed in 2023, it doesn't specify how many of those were fentanyl. Well, guess what? If you overdosed on an opioid, it doesn't matter. It's fentanyl. It's all the same derivative. It's the same. It's synthesized the same way. It's just different. What's it called? Intensities or whatever. But anyways, 125 million prescriptions. Now, prescriptions are prescriptions. Those are refillable monthly. You know what I mean? And the prescriptions from the year before don't necessarily mean that. You know what I mean? They stack on each other, you know what I'm saying? They're running concurrent, you know what I mean? Next to each other. Like, they still exist. So anyway, 6 million in 2015, 5 million in 2017, 3 million in 2019, 2 million in 2021, and 1 million in 2023. I mean, dude, just do the math. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, and there's some of the names right there. Actique, Fentanora, Abstral, Subsys. Okay, now, just think about the sheer numbers that is fentanyl is out there from the United States, from companies in the United States. Now, the main sellers the manufacturers, Janssen Pharmaceuticals, like you know Johnson & Johnson, the baby soap, Janssen Pharmaceuticals, Teva, and Allergen, right? Remember, the federal government was the one pushing these in the 90s and pushing all this shit or whatever. Now, they feel bad about it, and in 2014 they started to sue these companies, right? Like it was their fault, and it is. You know what I'm saying? American-made drug companies distributed through American pharmacies to Americans by American doctors. Okay, so now here is the whole fucking thing why these guys are the biggest pieces of shit on planet Earth. Welcome to the National Opioid Settlements. The opioid settlements have been reached with defendants Janssen, Cardinal, McKesson, American Virgin, TN, Allergen, CVS, Walgreens, Walmart, and Kroger. The website provides copies of the agreements as well as the additional documents and information concerning the proposed settlements. The agreements themselves control the terms of the blah, 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 blah. Now, it's over $160 billion and counting. Weird you guys haven't heard of it, and what? I mean, that's great though, right? Aren't they gonna, hook up everybody that's, families that have overdosed? Of course not. So the way they've done it is they made every state make some kind of legislation hiding this, and so they didn't talk about it. But make no mistake, every governing body and every city council is in your guys' city is aware of these, right? Because there's money in it for all of them. But what they've done is they put it into abatement counts, and then they have these certain things that you have to reach criteria for, which are just egregious. And I'm not going to go into it too deep, but this is more about just showing how big of a liar Grady Judd is, and then I'll go into it. I'll make another video, but some of the actual suits, the opiate litigation. The attorney fee fund will consist of the following separate sub-funds, which together shall constitute a single qualified settlement fund, which will remain subject to continuing and jurisdiction of the court. 60% of the fund will be available to them. Wow. Remember, that's 313 million, so 60% of that's going to be available for attorneys. Remember that. I guess this is the most important thing I wanted to get to. Every state that participates in this, they have some kind of legislation in either U.S. code or some statute that allows you guys to get money. So in your state, look up national opioid settlements. Look up, just find it. I mean, it's going to be a lot of clicking, but it's all on the internet for the most part. So you guys can get some money for, you know. Y'all tell me if this dude looks like a fucking hero after you hear this shit.
Very, very much for being with us today as we are excited to talk about the largest seizure of fentanyl in the history of the Sheriff's Office. And this is all about remarkable work into the two largest drug cartels in Mexico. But before I do that, let me introduce to you, first and foremost, our prosecutor, Brian Haas.
He's got 90 attorneys working for him.
And in my estimation, the finest prosecutor, not only in the state of Florida, but anywhere in the United States. He does the right thing. He's going to speak to us in a little while. We also have Austin Lill from Auburndale Police Department with us today, Terry Story with us, Mark Brutnell from FDLE, and he's going to also speak today. We have Chris Nelson, Brandon Sheely, who's a supervisor. We have Javier Lopez from Border Patrol with us, Michael Garland from HSI, Jim Gill from U.S. Postal Inspection Service. Why do I list them? Because when you do investigations of this magnitude, no single agency can successfully do them. It takes us all working together. And let me underscore that there's no light between any of us. We're shoulder to shoulder to protect the people of the United States from this evil, evil drug, fentanyl.
This is how sick these people are, dude. Everybody he just named and all these agencies are getting paid with federal funds that were from a federal lawsuit against pharmaceutical companies for dead people. Using the finances and making excuses for these people to exist and spend their money that doesn't belong to him. Now remember, the federal government has already sued the people who are responsible, Walmart and all that, you know what I'm saying? They're still pretending that there's some kind of illicit thing happening on over the border. There's not, okay? And you guys are like, well, how can we be sure of this, right? Blah, 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 blah. All right, just remember all the shit that he's saying and look at this. In 2021 and 2022, Attorney General Ashley Moody announced a series of historic settlements between states of Florida and the manufacturers and distributors of the opioids that will provide more than $3 billion to Florida over the next 18 years. 200. How are they going to spend that money fucking with 60 million pills that are coming from over the border? That is literally a drop in the sand compared to what's never going to end. This is fucking insanity. This guy's a lying fucking snake, dude, and somebody needs to expose that. He's a lying, weaseling snake, dude, and he's wasting a bunch of money that needs to go to families of victims of fentanyl overdoses and deaths. Somebody blow this up.
And I want to highlight before I start giving you the details, and I'm going to give you a 30,000 foot view of this, because obviously there will be other investigations into these cartels. But I want to give you an example. Between 2018 and 2023, 300
Metaphorically, I mean, blow it up, on the internet or whatever. You know what I mean?
Overdose deaths in the United States. Did you hear what I said? I didn't stutter. You can't count that high on your fingers and toes. 340,000 people in the United States died of fentanyl overdose between 2018 and 2023. What's important to recognize that? Why it's important to recognize that is simply this. Do you see anyone in the United States up in arms about that? Anyone? Do you see anyone saying, we've got a crisis on our hands? Do you see anyone saying, we have an epidemic on our hands? Do you see it leading the evening news? And the answer to all of that is no, no, no. Well, in fact, we do have a crisis when 340,000 people have died in 5 years in the United States of America from this overdose of fentanyl. So I ask you this. What would we be doing if 340,000 people died from the food served in the cafeterias at elementary schools in that period of time? How would we react? How would we react if 340,000 people died in county jails from us feeding bad food? There would be storms. There would be people fired and unelected. There would be congressional investigations. Every state would be doing investigations. But yet we pretty much sat silent while 340,000 people in the United States died from fentanyl overdose.